'Tis the season for new trailers. That's as much singing as you're getting out of me. My name is Nathaniel Wayne. I'm joined tonight by Ryan Daly, and we're going to talk about some of the flood of trailers that came out in the last week and a half or so. I suppose we'll start with the elephant in the room. The sort of the big one was SpiderMan Homecoming.
Mm-hmm. My appreciation for the Spider-Man trailer has grown a little bit more over time. The first time I watched it, I wasn't disappointed, I wasn't let down. There was nothing about it that jumped out like a red flag and made me say, I don't like that, or I don't care for that, or there was nothing like that. But my first reaction was just slightly underwhelmed. And the reason for that was, to me, and maybe it was the tone, it was a mix of the music, it was a mix of like the jokes with him still being young, but it felt a lot like, okay, this could just be the next step in the Amazing Spider-Man trilogy. It's like, okay, it feels of a piece. It doesn't feel like an entire new evolution of this character, which is not bad. I mean, it still feels like Spider-Man, and that was my initial thing. So I was like, okay, it looks fun, I'm sure I'll like it, but it didn't wow me. Over time, slightly, I've just kind of like, okay, I like that a little bit more. I like this a little bit more. It's kind of like notched itself up.
So I did my live reaction to it as a separate video. Check it out if you haven't already. I liked a lot of it. I really like Tom Holland. I love his energy, and I love sort of the way he's able to balance the sort of fast talking but also awkward and kind of weird thing. And there were moments that are like, in the instant that I saw it, I loved that image of him holding together the Staten Island ferry.
Yeah.
Although, almost immediately I had this thought, they're trying really hard to one-up the stopping the train from Spider-Man 2.
What we could see of the action looked really good. I did like that scene at the end. It's always nice to remind people that Spider-Man is really, really strong, and he's often put in places where when he has to demonstrate his strength, it's usually that type of thing. It's not him going toe-to-toe with the Hulk or Thor. It's him.
He can't.
Right. It's a classic image of him holding up something incredibly heavy to buy people time to get out of a building. And that's, that's a great sort of natural character and heroic beat for the character. They were promoting Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr.'s involvement in this movie, which nobody could fault them for doing that.
No,
I don't think he will have a huge part in the role.
I don't think he will either, but I didn't love that we saw him in the Iron Man suit. Now, first of all, I'm iffy about that being in the movie at all, because just let Spider-Man be Spider-Man, and don't have somebody else muscling in on it. But beyond that, it's that thing that it keeps happening over and over in trailers. While it's probably not a plot spoiler,
right,
that Iron Man flies in the suit, that's something I would rather have been surprised by,
right,
going into the theater, and now I can't be.
Villains of the movie.
So we got Vulture, and we got a little bit of Michael Keaton, and he sounds like he's got the gruff thing going on. He's channeling Birdman. I like that we are seeing him take on guys robbing ATMs. I mean, that, in my mind, especially at this point, that is what Spidey should be doing.
Right.
That is the exact sort of thing he needs to be dealing with. And I think the Vulture is a good escalation of that, because we didn't get this so much from the trailer, but what the director has basically said is the Vulture is not some grand schemer. He's just a career criminal who's going, well, the crime fighters are stepping up their game.
Yeah.
I'm going to step up my game.
Right.
And I think that is a proper escalation that still keeps it within a realm that makes sense for Spidey to be dealing with on his own.
Right. And we see some of that, I think, being filtered out through one of the characters that they've said, and I don't know if we saw him in the trailer. I don't know who's playing him, but supposedly the Tinkerer.
Okay,
yeah. Spidey's villain, who just makes, like, I think he's just going to be sort of a non-combatant evil Tony Stark. He's just going to be like a weapons jury rigger, just farming out these weapons, gonna kind of be responsible for getting some of these weapon suits in a way that gets us away from Oscorp for once.
Has Donald Glover's character been named?
No.
Because the one shot he's in, which doesn't highlight him, he's standing next to, obviously, a villain and a henchman who's gearing up to use some tech.
Right.
And it makes me wonder if
It's
he
the guy
would
who
be
looks
that
like Tom Hardy but isn't Tom Hardy. The guy from Prometheus.
He's just hanging out, but he's obviously like just there hanging with what is obviously a bad guy.
If he could be the Tinker, I think that would be kind of cool.
That's what I was just thinking. It hadn't occurred to me until just now, but I'd go with that.
Right.
I'm not going to say it makes me like pumped, like but like you said, there's no red flags.
Right. I think one of the things that they needed to depart from The Amazing Spider-Man was the love story melodrama, and that is a part. The soap opera aspect is a part of Spider-Man's universe. It always has been, but I think they went overboard with it in the last couple. And I think we need to see him not in love with a girl, and maybe maybe he'll be with Liz, maybe he'll be with somebody else, but that just wasn't what we saw in this trailer.
If they're going to step back on the romantic drama, but they still want to have the soap opera aspects, keeping him in high school is a good way to do that, because high school it's just a boiling pot of drama that does not need to be romantic drama, and you can still have those soap opera aspects without having him pining for whoever. We'll wrap up Marvel and we'll go Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
This is the property at Marvel that has the weirdest kind of effect on me, and because the thing is, like, they were the characters that I didn't really like that much. And after I saw the movie, I didn't want to go back and read their comics. There was like nothing about it. I didn't have that nostalgic kick. And when I rank my movies, it falls somewhere in the middle, but I can't deny it's a really, really fun movie.
Yeah.
And when I watch it, I'm like smiling almost the entire time. And then after it's over, I kind of forget those things. But so this was one where I was like, yeah, they're doing a sequel. I knew they were going to do a sequel. I wasn't really excited. And it's like, yeah, of course I'm going to see it. It's going to be good because they've got a winning formula. And then I watched this thing, I was like, oh man, this isn't good. This looks really, really fun. Why am I excited for this? But I can't, it's just weird that it has this effect. So, like, everything from the music, the sweet song that they've got in there this trailer is heavy on Groot and Rocket.
Well, I think because I have a feeling that they probably isolated that scene that they used, like, this is going to be a good trailer scene. Right. Let's get this wrapped and locked so that we can use it, because people love Groot and Rocket.
Right. And now Baby Groot, which
Baby Groot
going to sell all the everything, all the merchandise in the world is going to be Baby Groot. The big scene, though, at the end, when we get a new character, Mantis, the woman who is an established character in Guardians of the Galaxy and in the Avengers. She's a former Avenger. So I really hope they do a lot with this character. She seems to have this sort of empathic, she touches him, she's like, you feel love, sexual love for her. Drax's reaction.
Loses it.
I loved that. I was like, that is better than anything he did in the first one.
It reminds you why you had fun the first time. You go, yeah, I got to be sure to catch that.
Yeah.
Oh, there was The Mummy with Tom Cruise. The Mummy featured pretty lightly in the trailer itself. I was surprised how many things that I'm watching this and going, that's really clever. So, like, specific examples, a lot of what was going on in that plane sequence, that looked really well staged. The two iris eye thing, I'm watching the eyes just split, and I'm like, that's really cool.
So, I am a big fan of the classic Universal monster characters, and when I heard that Universal was going to try again to I mean, they had a false start with the Benicio del Toro Wolfman movie, which was awful. Then the last Dracula movie, Untold, which was, I didn't see it. I just remember the trailer where he bat punches the Turkish army. They're trying again, and they're really committed. Okay, we're going to do this whole shared universe, Marvel style, DC style, because, hey, that's what the kids are into. I understood that. I applaud that. I'm actually like, cool, do that. Do a horror type of thing. So I wanted to get a scary mummy movie. That is not what I got from this trailer.
No, if you wanted scary, this is not selling you scary.
This looks like another Jack Reacher Mission Impossible movie. Now, it looked good. Like, the action thing, like, and everything, like you said, like, with the opening, like, plane sequence, like, it reminded me, I was like, okay, Mission Impossible 5 opened with him like stuck to the side of that airplane. I was like, this feels like the logical segue to that. Like, this is like the next scene. This looks like it could be a really, really cool Tom Cruise action movie. But I don't know if it's the Mummy movie that I want. And also, just looking at the Mummy, she looks cool, she looks different, or she would look different if not for the Enchantress from the Suicide Squad movie.
I'm not sure the stink of that's going to be hanging too heavily, because I think most people want to forget the Enchantress.
It was in my mind. It was the first thing that I thought of when I saw her.
It actually didn't even occur to me.
And I'm one of those, I was like, the Enchantress wasn't supposed to look like it. I like the classic Mummy and the wraps and everything. And
I have no particular attachment to the classic black and white Mummy. Mm-hmm. I do have it's not good, but I enjoy it, attachment to the 1999 The Mummy with Brendan Fraser, and actually even the first sequel. I honestly, non-ironically enjoy those. There's a fair chunk of the audience that, if they know The Mummy at all, they know it more as an action franchise than they know it as a horror franchise.
Okay. Yeah. One of the other things that sort of already kind of bummed me out about this planned shared universe is, of the next movie in the series is going to be The Invisible Man starring Johnny Depp. He's kind of tainted for me. I was like, I don't want to see him in one of these movies right now. I'm just...
but you won't see him because he'll
be invisible. Okay, good. Yeah, walked into that one.
I think each individual one, there's the potential for me to find some interest in, but in terms of a universe, I don't care.
Sure.
Speaking of things I don't care about, trailer for Transformers 5. First night, last night. Last night.
As our friend and occasional council member Paul Scavito calls it, Transformers, I Know What You Did Last Night.
Oh, Paul.
I hate him. So it looks like the last couple Transformers movies.
It looks like every other Transformers movie. Like there's... They keep trying, like, every time. Well, I suppose, first of all, first disclosure, the only one I've seen all the way through is the first one. Mm-hmm. I have no intention of sinking the time to ever watch any of the rest of them all the way through. Until one comes out that people are going, dude, the rest were bad, but this one is actually good. Until that's the universal consensus, I'm not sitting down to watch another one of these. I'm just not doing it.
The first one I can still defend a little bit. I'm not going to break my back doing it, but I will say that the first one had a certain degree of charm, and I could see Steven Spielberg's fingerprints on it. So yeah, apparently Optimus Prime was dead or dies in this one, and then comes back and might be corrupted.
If they were going to grab your attention regarding Optimus Prime, they played that hand twice in the course of a 2-minute trailer. Once by showing what looks like his body, dead, floating in space. Like, okay. But then again, showing him tearing through Autobots and saying, I'm sorry, as he's about to stab Bumblebee. Is like, okay, you basically just tried to cash the same check twice. Which is it? And this is me really giving the benefit of the doubt. Maybe in the movie it'll make sense.
I also realized something while watching.
In the trailer, it doesn't. You can't reconcile those two things.
No. I realized something while watching this, and I am a openly proud nerd, a fan of this geek culture stuff. I still enjoy the original Transformers cartoons. But I realized hearing Anthony Hopkins say the name Optimus Prime is not something I ever needed or wanted to hear. I'm not going to see it.
Yeah, I'm not going to see it either. And I mean, for my part, I've never really cared about Transformers. I never watched the show. I had one Transformers toy growing up that I didn't play with often because I don't remember the character, but it was a fire engine, and transforming him was a big pain in the ass, and it was almost never worth it to me. So, that's my overall feeling about Transformers as a franchise. It's not worth the bother. Come at me in the comments.
So what's next?
War for the Planet of the Apes.
Thank you.
This, for me, is kind of a big one because this franchise has quietly, under the radar, become one of my favorite franchises of the last 5 years. But it looks great, and Andy Serkis's voice is the first thing we hear, which is, I love Caesar as a character. Yeah. He is wonderful. I like the tone. I don't know if I had known ahead of time. If I had, I forgot Woody Harrelson was in this. So when he showed up shaving his head, I was like, oh, crap. I'm slightly worried that the vibe on this trailer seems like the lines are finally being drawn as good guys, bad guys. Because I think about the other films, and there may have been specific individuals who were bad guys, but you couldn't draw a line in the sand of the humans are good, the apes are bad. So the solve that I'm putting on that concern is they're probably oversimplifying for the sake of the trailer.
Very well could be. But also just looking at the state of things, I mean, Gary Oldman's character, they were survivalists.
Yes.
So his decisions, and when they presented him as a villain, it was based out of fear and this sort of self-preservation. What he thought he was doing the best for these things. Our human characters, which are presented as our villains,
they're military.
They're the military. They look like the evil army. That's like, and that this is just a war situation. And in the war, you got the good guys and the bad guys. But it looks good. The signature moment that I just remember from the trailer is an ape. It looks like Caesar, although if this might sound a little bit speciesist, but all of the apes look the same to me. No, but it's an ape.
I'm gonna have to cut that. That was awful.
Yeah. I know. God, I'm gonna get so much hate mail. Harambe, much love. But there is a shot where it looks like Caesar is on his knees with a gun to his temple and does this kind of like leans into it, like, oh, you're gonna shoot me, do it. That is like daring them to
that is definitely Caesar. That's
a good image. Like that was the moment where I was like, yeah, okay, I'm in. I'm gonna see this one opening night.
We got new trailer for Assassin's Creed.
Not being a gamer, I've never played the game. I don't have an investment in this. I like Michael Fassbender. I like, what is her name?
Marion Cotillard.
Yeah, thank you. And you pronounced it better than I would have, so. I like the people involved in this. Visually, it looks cool, but I know most video games adapted to films. In fact, I think you would point out that no video game adapted to film has really succeeded yet.
Has not, and I believe will not. Yeah. And based on this trailer, I'm officially calling it, this movie's gonna suck.
Okay. Your reasons, sir.
Well, my reasons, what ultimately killed it for me was they did something that to me says they don't know what they're doing. Which is that, and I forget what the names were now because it went out of my head, but like they were, be sure they like put emphasis on first and last name for Michael Fassbender's character, first and last name for Marion Cotillard's character, as if those names are important. They're not. The fact that they put all these emphasis on these names like they mean something, they don't mean jack.
So they're not tapping into a fan base.
No!
Okay.
They're so I don't understand why you would do that. Why you put all this emphasis on these names when these names have no meaning. These are characters that are new to the story, to the franchise. So between that and I'm watching the rest, and this was the one where they really seemed to try and break down the story, like try and have it make sense. First of all, it still barely makes sense. The thing is, it barely makes sense in the games, but the games get away with it because you get the visceral thrill of getting to do so much cool stuff. The thing is, Ubisoft, which is the game developer, this movie was supposed to happen much sooner than it did.
Okay.
The reason it didn't was the amount of control Ubisoft was demanding they be able to maintain over the film. What's going on, as far as I'm concerned, it cannot be blamed on a studio that doesn't get the property because Ubisoft has its fingers too deep in this pie.
Okay.
So this is going to be, this to me, see, every time a new video game movie comes out and sucks, it becomes another debunking of another one of the myths as to why it hasn't worked up to this point. With Warcraft being painful, that was a debunking of well, they just never got a good director on it. Duncan Jones is a good director.
Sure, yeah.
He didn't work. And I feel that this one is going to be a debunking of well, it's just because they get too far away from the games. It was like, well, no, now you're going to have the game developer right in there, making sure they're staying true to it's still going to suck. So I'm probably not going to see it. I'm looking forward to it tanking, so it will justify my continued stance that this is never going to work. It's weird. I am starting to get a certain amount of almost fetishistic glee out of this, and that's not normal for me. Normally, I don't do the Schadenfreude thing but with video game movies, I kind of get that a little bit because I feel like out of Geeks people, I'm one of the only people I know who's beating the drum of this will never work, as opposed to it'll work one day. Maybe this one or that. No, it's never gonna work.
See?
It's never gonna work. So I think we've saved the big one for last.
Yes.
I mean, this is the trailer that hit.
Thank you.
Baywatch.
Bless you. If there was one movie I really wanted to see The Rock in all my life, it's Baywatch. I didn't see the first 21 Jump Street. Somehow I saw the second one. And I thought it was okay. I kind of get it. There's a few parts where I almost sort of laughed. It wasn't for me, but I kind of appreciate it. And watching this trailer, and I admit, guilty pleasure, I have seen more than a few episodes of the old Baywatch TV show.
I've only just seen the opening credits, and I kind of feel like that was as good as it was going to get.
You're not wrong. I saw a lot more than that, and you're not wrong. But I kind of, it's campy. Most of the time, it was self-aware and knew why people were watching it. And I feel like this trailer is doing a lot with that too. And it's not all the women. I mean, there's certainly more than enough man candy for.
Oh yeah, I would actually say in that trailer there's way more.
Actually, yeah, because in terms of the star
abs
power
and stuff on
star
display.
power, The Rock and Zac Efron are two pretty high profile, and the highest profile female star in the movie is it Alexandra Daddario? I think her first name is Alexandra Daddario. She was in True Detective. She was also in last year's Rock movie, the San Andreas one, I think, where she played his daughter. Beautiful woman, gorgeous, going to look great in a bathing suit. Well, it does if you watch the trailer. But I think she's the female lead of this, and not like a big star. But I mean, it's going to be a lot of pretty people on the beach pretending they can't swim very well, so they have to be rescued. It's Baywatch. You know what you're getting. It shouldn't have any illusions about it, and it's not selling itself as something that it probably won't be. So I'm fine with it. It's the chances of me seeing that are astronomically higher than me seeing Transformers: I Know What You Did Last Night.
Yes. Ditto. So that ain't nothing.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll wrap it up there. I forgot to let you plug stuff last time, so.
Oh yeah. You can find me on a number of podcasts that are available on the Fire and Water Podcast Network. The new one that I'm very proud of is Batman Nightcast, where me and Chris Franklin talk about Batman comics from the 1980s. Also host a show called Midnight Podcasting Hour, several other shows. I also am the writer of a webcomic called My Pet Ninja, which is available at risingsuncomics.com, and one of the co-writers and co-creators of Red and Green, another webcomic at risingsuncomics.com.
I'm sorry, I nodded off there. It's just white noise because you have so much crap to plug. Well, thank you for joining me, Ryan. And thank you for tuning in. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can check out the complete, mostly unedited version on the Council of Geeks podcast, available on iTunes and Stitcher. So in any case, thank you for joining us, and this council is adjourned.